You've heard the expression, haven't you, that it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Well, I'm here to tell you in this part of the lesson that when it comes to singing with others and other singers and other musicians, you'll never stay with them if you ain't got the rhythm. Now, what is rhythm? In music, rhythm is a series of regularly occurring sounds. Sounds that help us to stay together. I don't know if you've ever been in the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, or whatever group, youth group, and that you've had to do any marching at all. And if you have had to do that, and I've had to do a lot because I went to a military school when I was a lot younger, and we marched everywhere. And marching involves rhythm, and you have what you call in step and out of step, and it's very obvious when you start going out of step. Well, the same is true with music. With any song or piece of music, there has to be an underlying rhythm, what is very often called the pulse, keeping everybody together. The fact is that we do all have rhythm. It's part of our lives. Our lives are full of rhythmic things, and the problem is that we all seem to have different rhythms. It's quite clear, isn't it? If you look around and you listen, people live their lives at different speeds, and people talk at different speeds. If you're left to yourself, the rhythm you adopt is your own rhythm. You do things at your own speed, and that's fine. But when it comes to doing things with other people, there has to be a consensus. Okay, I'm sitting down now to leave a little bit more space on the behind for the text. Let me give you an example using a tongue twister. One of those phrases that if you had several people together in a room and asked them to say it and wrote it on a piece of paper for them, everyone would say it at a different speed and have difficulty saying it. So the example I want to use is: Betty Bunter bought a bit of butter, but the bit of butter Betty bought was bitter. Okay? So try and say that quickly. Betty Bunter bought a bit of butter, but the bit of butter Betty bought was bitter. Right? And then you could say it even more slowly. Betty Bunter bought a bit of butter, but the bit of butter Betty bought was bitter. And everybody has a different way of speaking, don't they? And so that would cause chaos if we had several people trying to say this together. So the only way we can solve that problem is to use a rhythmic framework. And I just happen to have a couple of sticks here called claves that will help us to set up a rhythm so that we can all say this tongue twister together. So, for example, I could set up a series of rhythmic events. Okay, roughly. And then we would take the phrase and split it up into its smallest units. And those are syllables for the word. So it would go like this. Betty Bunter bought a bit of butter, but the bit of butter Betty Betty bought was bitter. Now, what we'll do is we'll do the simplest thing that we can do to start with, and that is to put one syllable on each rhythmic event. That will make it easy for us all to say it together. Okay, so we'll go like this. Betty Bunter bought a bit of butter, but the bit of butter Betty bought was bitter. Okay, very boring, I know. For the moment, there's no musicality to it. We're just speaking it. Now, doing that, several people following these rhythmic events can say that phrase together in unison. We can, of course, it was rather slow, we can even speed it up, increase what we call the tempo. Betty Bunter bought a bit of butter, bought a bit of butter, Betty bought was bitter. Okay, that's faster. We wouldn't want to slow it down. And now with that bass, we could be a little bit more inventive and even do what we call syncopate, which means that we wouldn't put the syllables on every rhythmic event. We would put them on certain rhythmic events, but at our own pace. This is creating now, so I'll make it a little bit faster. Betty Bunter bought a bit of butter, but the bit of butter Betty bought was bitter. So that was me inventing my own rhythm, but this now, the words are the pattern. It's now a pattern, which in a song would be equivalent to the melody. But we're producing a pattern, and what are we producing it from? We're producing it from our rhythmic events, and we are deciding where to put our syllables.